Good morning, good afternoon, whatever time zone you're in. I'm Christine Law. I'm the lead delivery consultant at Trility Consulting, and welcome. Today I'm going to be moderating our panels. We'll give folks a minute. Rhonda is going to be my sidekick. She's going to be moderating the Q&A chat. We will be having Q&A at the end for 10-15 minutes. So please make sure to throw your questions in there and she will have an eye on it. I'll give folks another minute. For folks who are just joining, thank you. Welcome to our FabCon 2025 webinar. Just giving folks another minute to join. All right. So in terms of the agenda, we have about 30 minutes allocated for questions to the panel. We're also dedicating 10 to 15 minutes at the end for questions. So please make sure if you have questions throughout the session, please make sure to throw them in the Q&A section in the Zoom. Rhonda O'Connor, who is joining me from Trility, will be moderating that chat and will be helping us queue up questions after we finish the session, the planned session. All right, let's get into it. For those of you who just joined, I'm Christine Law, lead delivery consultant at Trility Consulting. I'll be your moderator of this panel today. So let's start by introducing everybody. Our first panelist is Lauren Plain. She is, now let me make sure I get this right, Lauren. You are the reporting and analytics supervisor at MI Homes. She has extensive experience in data and analytics, and she hails from Columbus, Ohio. Welcome, Lauren. Our next panelist is Scout Stalcup. He is a data consultant with Trility Consulting. He has been the tech lead for the last two Fabric implementations that we've done here at Trility, and he is located in St. Louis, Missouri. Welcome, Scout. And our last panelist, but definitely not least, is Tate Swanson. He is a senior data consultant. He has a background in data and analytics and engineering. He has also worked on the current Fabric project that we have going right now. He has 9 years of experience in Microsoft data and analytics, and he lives in Tampa, Florida. Welcome, Tate. All right, so let's jump into our first question. I'm going to direct this one at Lauren. So Lauren, if you could wave a magic wand, what would be the one thing you would implement tomorrow that you saw at FabCon, something that would really move the needle for your business?
That's a great question. I think probably the security features that they announced. They have deeper integration now with Microsoft Purview and some row-level security functions that are going to be available right within Fabric. And right now, our security is more on an individual report level. So that'll really move the needle for us in being able to implement security policies that apply across the board.
Fantastic. Scout, did you have anything that you saw that you'd like to tag on?
Yeah, to be honest, it was a lot of announcements, so I'm looking forward to stuff being out of preview, so we can really kind of get hands-on and using it in production. One thing that really sticks out to me were the user data functions that are now available in Fabric, very similar to the Azure functions that have existed for some time. That ability to have kind of serverless execution of Python code is going to be really huge and really going to allow anybody working in Fabric to extend the available data sources to REST APIs, custom endpoints, that sort of thing. So really looking forward to that feature coming out of preview again, so we can start to use that in production.
That's good. How about you, Tate?
Yeah, so probably the biggest for me is Copilot being available at all SKU levels now. It'll have a huge impact on my day-to-day life. and that of my clients. But in particular, having such a valuable tool available for smaller POCs, or if a client's doing an initial implementation and doesn't want to go for the full F64 SKU, now that they can have it at a lower SKU, it will speed up development, ease troubleshooting, and really make a big difference.
So thank you. Anything else to add, you guys, for that question? All right, thank you. Moving on to the next one. I'm going to direct this one to Scout. Scout, did you see any interesting trends within the data and analytics and AI space that really stood out to you while you were at the conference?
Yeah, absolutely. Again, pretty exciting conference, lots of updates, a few trends that picked up on, of course, AI. It's been a hot topic for a couple of years now. That momentum kind of continued while we were at FabCon. So big thing this year is the agentic AI. So by taking your chatbots, taking ChatGPT and Copilot one step further into more of an agentic AI, having them perform actions for you is one trend that I picked up on. Yeah, there's a really cool demo that they showed where a person's interacting with Copilot and having that take action on that chat. The action that this um, interaction was showing out was being able to book a flight. So you can interact with Copilot. Maybe that's on top of some Salesforce data to pull in company travel policies, and then again take action to actually go out and book the flight. So that was really cool to see. Again, the agentic AI. A Another theme, another trend that I picked up on is just overall better AI integrations inside of Fabric. So having that seamless integration with Copilot Studio, um, being able to use your structured data inside of Fabric as kind of a knowledge base that then again Copilot can interact with. Um, I think that's just Copilot's taking ChatGPT one step further. And it's really nice to see those neat integrations. Really lowers the barrier to entry for some of that. And I will say the last thing that I kind of picked up on is this move of Fabric as an analytics platform to Fabric as a data platform. So we kind of saw this kicked off last year with the introduction of SQL databases, right? So going beyond analytical processing and having those SQL databases for transactional processing, that was kind of the first step in that direction. I talked a little bit about the user data functions, writing that Python serverless code. We're also seeing API endpoints become available with our data in Fabric. And lastly, those better AI integrations with those Fabric data agents. So all that together really kind of is Microsoft, again, moving Fabric from an analytics platform to a overall data platform.
Thank you. Tate or Lauren, do you have anything to add? On your side. I don't know.
Really, pretty much everything Scout said, spot on. The only thing I'd add is what really impressed me from the AI was the computer user agent. The demo they had was they had the AI process go onto a website and file claims for shipping damages. And it was just incredible seeing AI operate a desktop computer and follow the instructions written. And I think that will be, that sort of technology will be used in the future to automate certain processes that we all do every day, and menial tasks like that.
Fantastic. Thank you. Okay, on to our next question then, unless anybody has anything else on that one. All right. I'm going to direct this question at Tate. What did you want to see that you didn't see while you were there?
Probably the biggest thing was I was not able to see much about database mirroring. There were several sessions about database mirroring. It's just unfortunately they conflicted with other sessions that I wanted to attend as well. So that's certainly one takeaway for people who will be attending the conference in the future, is you really have to plan out your sessions. But really, this was important. Database mirroring is important to me because as someone who focuses a lot on ETL, database mirroring, especially the on-prem SQL Server mirroring, will drastically change the way that data ingestion frameworks are implemented. Things like batch loading will likely become a thing of the past, in Fabric once on-prem SQL Server mirroring becomes generally available, and having this almost no ETL process for something like SQL Server ingestion will be pretty powerful.
Awesome. Thank you. Lauren, how about you? What did you wish you had seen when you were there?
Honestly, I think I'm going to agree with Tate on that. I was really looking forward to learning more about the SQL Server, especially the on-prem SQL Server mirroring, because that our reporting environment right now is pulling the data in live from a reporting database. So if we switch to one that's done with batch loading, that's going to introduce some latency. So having the mirroring available is really going to be good for the business because you're going to get much more up to the minute reporting. So that was something I wanted to learn more about that I didn't get a chance to this year.
How about you, Scout?
Yeah, again, lots of exciting announcements. So I'm going to go in a different direction here. I actually wish I would have seen Microsoft highlight the kind of quality of life stability enhancements a little bit more. They've been really busy in the background, adding new features, increasing the stability, and again, adding those small kind of day-to-day things that make life easier. So one thing I'll point to is being able to call a stored procedure from a Fabric SQL database inside of a pipeline. Just more emphasis on that kind of thing, I think, is going to go a long way. We talk to customers frequently that that's maybe a decision point for them is some of those things that they feel are missing inside of Fabric. And again, they've done a nice job at adding a ton of great features. So I wish I would have seen more emphasis on that sort of thing.
Anything else you guys want to call out? Move on to our next question. All right, I'm going to take this one to Lauren. What's the most exciting or important thing you learned that will impact your day-to-day life? Maybe like removing friction and that sort of thing.
Yeah, I think for me, it's the AI. We've been hearing that kind of as a theme, right? So I work in a reporting position in a large company, and I get a lot of questions about, can AI do this? Can we use AI for that? Is there any way we can figure out this solution to this problem using AI? And our existing data models aren't really optimized for that. So we've tried it, we've tested it out a little bit, but it doesn't produce great results. So we're moving into Fabric. We're building out a Fabric infrastructure right now with a brand new, clean, shiny data model that's really optimized for AI. So I'm excited to be able to take advantage of those capabilities.
That's awesome. Tate, how about you? What do you think? What are some things you see?
Mine's a small one, but during the keynote, they announced that you will no longer have to execute a snippet of code in a notebook to enable Copilot. Excuse me. And that was one little thing that I'd always forget to do, and switching between notebooks, things like that, was always just kind of a minor irritation. So having that functionality automated and no longer having to worry about it has been really kind of a blessing for me.
It's awesome. Sometimes it is the little things, right? How about you, Scout?
Yeah, I'd say it would certainly be a toss-up between. I talked a little bit about the data functions that are now available inside of Fabric, but I'm also really excited about the better CI/CD support. So they talked about integration with Terraform that's coming. Again, it's really just going to mature the product quite a bit. They also announced a CLI specific to Fabric. So again, right, these additions that really mature the product and make it much more usable at an enterprise scale. Certainly something I'm excited about.
Thank you. Anything else you guys want to call out? All right. Now we're going to talk about the experience a little bit. You guys went to FabCon as like a whole implementation team. You guys are currently working together on a project. Can you talk a little bit about what that was like as an experience and the advantage of going to a conference like FabCon as an implementation team working together? Lauren, how about you? We'll start with you.
I'm so sorry, my thing froze and I couldn't hear the question.
Oh, sorry. It was about you guys going together to FabCon as an implementation team all together. Could you talk about sort of the experience of going together as a group, what some of the advantages were of going together as one implementation team?
We can definitely talk about that. I think it was a great experience to go with these guys because we were able to compare notes about the different fabric features we were learning about and really on the ground, like in the hallways between sessions, start to make plans for how we were going to incorporate those. So it was kind of speeding up the pipeline of education to action. So that was really helpful. And we were able to kind of plan out a little bit. Okay, I'm going to hit this session for something we need for the product, so you can go to this session. So that was really helpful.
Awesome. How about you, Scout? What advantages did you see?
Yeah, I like that Lauren kind of touched on the divide and conquer. There's so many sessions, so many announcements. It was nice to be able to kind of game plan of who's going to what. Not only that, it's nice to be able to go to a session, right, take notes, and then kind of come back together as a group and kind of reinforce, what you learned, and then be able to share that with the team. So going as a group, super valuable.
How about you, Tate? Anything to add?
Yeah, it's probably the biggest thing for me is that, I pretty much exclusively handle the back end, data architecture and engineering. So attending the conference with Lauren was extremely valuable because I was able to get her perspective on, various things we learned or announcements, through the lens of a Power BI developer, and someone who works more on the front end. And so I was able to really get, a new perspective and consider things in a way that I previously, wouldn't have been able to.
Perfect. I love that. The collab. Anything else you guys want to add about the experience of going together as an implementation team? Okay. All right. Another question about the experience. Lauren, I know you sort of had some tips and tricks for the conference to share with folks as they're considering going next year in 2026. Would you like to share those observations?
Sure, yeah. Um, I think one of the things that I noticed, I attended last year, which was the first FabCon, and this year, and Microsoft consistently has emphasized community and building out your data community and relying on each other, and that can be really hard to do for a group of, let's face it, we're all anxious introverts working in data. So it's really hard to strike up conversations and have all, that small talk throughout the whole thing. So if you can muster up the courage to just say, hey, where are you from? Or hey, what brought you here? Most people are super grateful that you were the one to start the conversation and more than willing to compare notes. And so, really, I think prioritize making those connections, seek out people that are experts in areas that you struggle with, and try to make connections with them. I searched for folks on the Whova app and messaged them, and they were happy to meet up and share their expertise. So that's really important. And I will also say next year I'm bringing a very large coffee mug because they provide coffee, but only for like these brief periods of time. So I'm going to bring my own giant coffee mug, fill it up, and then I'll be good for the rest of the day.
Love it. Loading up on the caffeine.
Mhm.
How about you, Tate? Anything you wanted to add as a tips or tricks for the conference?
Yeah, one thing that I really enjoyed was during the workshops, they provide lunch, and you are assigned an area to have lunch, which I found really beneficial because it meant I couldn't, I had to meet some new people. Lauren and Scout were not always in the same lunch area, so that forced me to go sit down at a table and just start talking to folks. And I was able to get some great insights from people as far as their take on things, some of the challenges they've faced, things like that.
That's awesome. What about you, Scout?
Yeah, I personally got a ton out of the technical sessions, and so having reflected on that, it's nice to be able to kind of be on site for the conference, step away kind of from the day to day a little bit, and really kind of be all in and focused on those sessions. That way, like when the release notes come out, and you're monitoring the updates blog, right? You can kind of tie that back to sessions you've seen, or tie that back to something that they said in the keynote. I know we're all busy, we all have day jobs, and so it's easy to kind of get heads down and not really spend a lot of time keeping up with the release notes, keeping up with what's new. So again, just being present on site, um, taking the opportunity to kind of step away from the day to day, certainly makes going to the conference a really valuable experience.
Perfect. I love that. And I love the fact that you guys had a chance to meet others in the industry and make new connections, because I think that's super valuable as well. Fantastic. Well, those were all the planned questions we had. I'm going to look to my partner in crime, Rhonda,
Yes.
to tee up some questions from the audience. What do we got, Rhonda?
Okay, so with respect to security, is there a way to implement column level security or tag data attributes as PII, personal, can't remember what that means, PII, personal information, with limited visibility?
Yeah, I'll take a stab at this one, and Kate and Lauren, you guys can fill in if I miss anything. But they did announce new one-like security features that will give you the ability to kind of define those security rules and those roles in one place right at the data level, and they'll flow to users interacting with your data on a report or even through Copilot, which was cool. As they query data in the databases and the lakehouses. So that kind of functionality is coming, being able to hide certain columns that maybe that might be PII. Um, Tagging is something that they're working on as well. They kind of went into that at the conference. So those kind of enhancements are coming. It was cool to kind of see them get a little bit closer to being GA. But I would also point to the integrations with Microsoft Purview. I know it's a pretty reasonable cost to be able to get some of those features, but they kind of already have some of those features that they're looking for. So for me, that'd be the place to start until some of these new features in Fabric become generally available.
Anything to
Right.
add? Anything to add, Tate? Did you have anything else to add, or good? All
All
right.
right, the next question, what is the difference between mirroring and replication? So I think that was in regards to your earlier comments.
Yeah, I can I can speak to that a little bit. So mirroring and replication aren't actually too different. Mirroring uses a lot of the same technologies as replication, in that it's using a CDC process to only look for additions or changes to your data for what it pushes up to the cloud. I think really the biggest difference is that instead of being a replica being, say, another instance of SQL Server, this is in Fabric.
I'll add to that replication's a great feature inside of Fabric, and actually is very efficient as far as the consumption that it takes up during the process. So it's a fantastic feature. We're all excited about the SQL Server mirroring becoming generally available soon.
Thanks. And if any of you who have posted these questions have follow-up questions or want clarity, just let me know. The next question, we embed our reports on various websites for external unlicensed users to use. As we switch to Fabric reports, using a data lake connection to a warehouse, lakehouse cannot be embedded, so we have to use direct query connection, but RLS gets tricky and/or is not supported in some cases. Any mention or idea of when direct lake connections will be supported with embedded reports?
The top of my head, I don't have a good answer for that. And that's something that we can circle back on. I will say, as far as the rollout of security, those new One Lake security features hopefully are gonna solve some of that. But again, I don't have the exact time frame of when updates to Direct Lake will be coming for embedded reports.
All right. What is some advice you would give to a team just beginning the Fabric journey?
Oh, I think I can.
I was gonna say, Lauren, I feel like that one's for you.
Let's see. It's a little, I would say, get to know your Microsoft representations, like whoever your account rep is with Microsoft. Have a conversation with them. Let them know you're doing this rollout. They can sometimes provide resources um, to help support that. And depending on the size of your organization and what your rollout plan is, I think look for a partner that has experience with Fabric. Um, that's what we did. We were really looking for someone that had done this before, and it's so new that that's really difficult to find. But finding someone who has some experience with it and is confident in how the kind of the infrastructure of it works is really helpful and a really big boost.
Anybody else have anything to add on to that one?
All right. What real world use cases were showcased that resonated with your own work?
A lot of sessions about metadata driven ETL. So I want to give Tate some props here. He's really implemented that in our current project. Goes a long way as far as providing a scalable and efficient ETL framework. So it was cool to be in some of those sessions and kind of be like we're already doing this. So big emphasis on that this year, being able to right, have those metadata driven pipelines, but also at the same time, again, cool to see that we got a team that's on top of that.
Anybody else? All right, what do we got, Rhonda?
Has Fabric had any impact on your approach to data development or things such as data version control?
Yeah, I can take that. So, yeah, absolutely is the short answer. Because Fabric is so tightly integrated, we're able to um, mo- more precisely control a lot of our versioning and some of our CI/CD processes. Um, Things like the Lakehouse being integrated so well with a SQL DB has allowed a lot of very fine tuning and control there, which has made a big difference. And we've also been able to create some kind of custom tools and procedures that we follow for things like CI/CD that would have been impossible, say, with Azure Data Factory and ADLS Gen 2.
Anybody else? All right.
All right. This is my last question. Can you speak to your experience implementing Fabric, specifically the key promises of its speed to market? Has that been your experience?
Jump in on this one. Currently in the midst of a large implementation, so it's my second Fabric implementation. So having been in a couple of these now, I will say the speed to market certainly is a promise that's been kept. Right, the hard stuff on a large implementation like this is working with the business, understanding what the current environment looks like, working with the client to understand their vision and kind of where they want to go. Right, that's the hard stuff. The easier stuff is stuff on the technology side, and Fabric certainly makes that generally a little bit easier. As Tate mentioned, there's a lot of things that are abstracted away, a lot of things that you don't even have to think about, right? Stuff just works, right? There's kind of pre-built connections, and you can get data from one place to another generally pretty easy. So having a lot of those things abstracted away, right? Having an easier way to do things in Fabric certainly does increase the speed to market.
So another follow-up is, would you also address the cost?
Yeah, so I can start by saying Fabric is really kind of a relief for me as a consultant because you're paying for the fixed cost for the, you know, level of resources that you're getting. So it takes out a lot of guesswork, as far as, you know, when we're trying to estimate a cost for, you know, say an Azure Data Factory solution. You know, they have tools out there for estimating those costs, but it's a bit of an unknown, especially if there's any sort of scope creep in the project. You know, you just can't come up with a perfect number. Whereas now that you have your fixed cost for Fabric, much, you know, much easier to budget for that and plan.
All right. I think we've gotten through the Q&A.
Any
I would
additional?
say I'm just going to put something in the chat for everyone is we did just publish an article today that Scout helped us write. Scout wrote and we helped him, but it does include some stuff about cost in it. So I'm just going to put that out there for everyone. They want to go look at that. Yeah. So, and we're nearing our completion of 37 minutes. So unless we have any other questions.
Any closing comments from our panel?
I might ask you guys a question. What are you most looking forward to with preparing your business list? And Lauren, this might be more for you. Like, how is this going to help you with AI and what people in your company are looking to use?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's the analogy that I use with the business is, and this may age me a little bit because I think Christmas lights work a different way now. But have you ever had a box of Christmas lights that you put away in a hurry in February and they're all tangled up and you have to find the one bulb that doesn't work, so you're going through the string of lights? So a lot of times figuring out like the data lineage for an individual metric on a report is like that. You're going through and you're trying to find the detail in this mess, and Fabric really organizes everything, lines it all up so that you always know where to go to find the answer that you're looking for. And I'm really hopeful. I'm starting to see the benefits of it. We're still in the middle of this implementation, but starting to see the benefits in terms of speed to deliver new reports, right? Like right now, every new report is its own investigation and its own data model and its own query. And being able to use this data warehouse is really going to speed up our development time. So it's going to allow us to do a lot more with the same staff that we currently have.
I'm going to throw one more question out to you guys. If you're at a company and you're having a hard time getting funding or focus or getting the leaders to say, you know, push the button on doing a project like Fabric or something, you know, maybe it's not Fabric, it's anything, but how would Fabric or the benefits of Fabric help them make that case?
I do want to point out one thing that Tate mentioned earlier is that the smaller SKUs now, the Fabric, like an F2, which is the smallest available Fabric SKU, has Copilot with it, has, you know, pretty much full functionality. So you can come up with a way to prove the concept. You can do that with a lot less investment than you could 6 months ago.
Add to that, Microsoft is pretty generous with their Fabric free trial. So it's an F64 SKU, which is quite a bit of compute, and they give you a free trial for a period of time. So that's a great way for companies or individuals. I've already used my free trial just to spin things up and kind of see how things work and play around and kind of get hands on with some of that. So it's a great place to start.
Yeah, and one thing I'll add is that anyone who's familiar with Microsoft's previous data and analytics, you know, cloud offerings, your Azure Data Factory, your Synapse, will find that Fabric, you know, they've done a very nice job of making them feel similar and function in a similar manner. So a lot, you don't need massive, upscaling or pardon me, knowledge gain or anything like that. You can take what you have and get started with it.
All right. We've gone through the questions, and so thank you all.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it. Christine?
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And a special thank you to our panelists. Thank you for carving out the time to talk to us today. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Lauren. I think that's all.
That's good. We're all good. Thanks, everyone. And we will be sending the recording out, so you'll have it if you want to reference anything. And as of course, we'll use AI to create a short summary of everything if you're a reader. So look for that to come. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.